Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Big Gold Belt Media. I am Damian Gracia, and I am joined by someone who I just found out about last week, who is extremely talented because I don't do horror. So I was able to watch this short, and I'm still shaking, even though I watched it about 4 times over. Because I'm a bit of a scaredy cat, kids. So welcome Vanessa Beletic with her film Catching Spirits. And again, I'm shaking now because I'm going to go off the top and just tell you the sound. The sound is what got me the entire short. I kept looking around. I had the lights on in my house. I
It
had to
was
make sure.
not that scary. Come on.
Okay, so I'm a native New Yorker, so we swing first, ask questions later. So I was ready for something to jump out of my closet just in case. But can you talk a little bit about like that aspect of using sound as a medium for horror, even though, some people may classify this as a thriller and a lot of other people would classify it as horror.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm so glad that you tapped into the sound. It's something that I spent a lot of time on and did not rush in any way. There were a lot of elements to it that were important, not just to the general filmmaking experience of the genre, like you say, but also there's a lot of messaging that comes through in the film without giving away too much. But in the synopsis, we do say that she does hear voices in her head. So what I'll say is this. Sound is such a crucial part of filmmaking. We already know that.
Right.
In genre filmmaking, a lot of times sound is used just to make you scared. So all of a sudden you'll go from a quiet moment to like a loud jump scare, right? And it's just like kind of like it's fine, it's the genre, but it was really important for me not to necessarily fall into the usual tropes. And so what you're reacting to is that I really wanted to have this holistic approach to the sound so that we are inside her head at crucial points. We are in the room at other crucial points. There are times when sort of her arc is changing where we're in both. So I really love that you tapped into that. It was so deeply important. I'm just like feeling good that you caught it, you know?
I'm sure I speak, I'm not the only one. I speak for others who are going to be instantly gripped by this short. Within the first 5 seconds, the mood is set. And that was something that it took a hold of me and it did not let go. And I was watching, I was watching it with an eye of where are we going to go next? And I think the beauty of a short, and in this case, this short particularly, it whet the appetite, it got you on edge. And then right when you were finally hitting that crescendo in terms of the storytelling of the short, you want more. And can you walk me through maybe the pacing in which you chose for this short to kind of grip the audience first and foremost and kind of hold them throughout the entire journey?
Well, thankfully, I'm grateful that I'm able to hold you throughout the journey. I mean, as a filmmaker, you can only hope that you're achieving that goal. And I do believe I took a few what I would call artsy fartsy choices. I did make a few artsy choices, including that opening image, right? Which then does resolve in the end. There's a version of this short film where there could have been more explanation and more exposition. So in terms of pacing, my goal really was to keep you on your toes, make the viewer have to think the entire experience. I think the moment you're in a film and your brain can sort of like half pay attention, then that's not a vibe to me. So that was important. But also there's only so much you can do in 12 minutes. I think a lot of times these days, especially, a lot of folks try to make an entire feature length and cram it into a short. There used to be a time when a short film was just one little crux, one little moment in time. And that's what I focused on. We're essentially meeting the character in this time, which would be considered, if this were a feature length film, the catalyst, right? We get a little taste of what her world is like, but we're immediately dropped into sort of a problem that she's having, and then a decision that she must make. I hope I answered the question.
Oh, that answered it pretty well, if I say.
Okay.
And now that you bring that up, the trailer is a little misleading for people who don't get to watch the actual short, because they go in thinking it's going to be one thing, and then it's kind of not even a 180. It's kind of just tilted over to maybe 90 degrees to, oh, I didn't expect to make that turn, like you said, in a 12-minute film. So was that purposely done, or was that one of those things that it just happened to flow that way, where the trailer is a little misleading? I'm not going to say a lot, but
well, it's fine. I mean, I wish everybody could have already seen this so we could really, really get into it.
right.
Because I'm actually curious. I'm curious what you think. What is it that you think the trailer is leading us to believe?
If I'm going just off top layer, I would say I actually thought it was going to be a horror movie regarding what happens when the main character kind of turns off, I'm going to say, so I don't give it away for people. Sort of like, I don't know if you're familiar with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They just had Moon Knight. So using dissociative personality disorder, you black out. So I that's where I thought we were going, to find out what happens when, when the spasms happen, when the seizures happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Copy that.
We saw a little bit of that.
Copy that. Okay. Well, wow, this is so fascinating. Because of where the ending does go in actuality, it was really important for me not to give it away in the trailer. And I wanted a trailer that felt like we can understand the storyline. And so really, by using just the footage that I have in the actual 12-minute short, that's where I ended up putting my trailer. So it's not necessarily a cop-out, but it sort of is what it is. It's, I guess in some ways it could be considered a misdirect, but I think in a lot of ways it isn't. Part of what I'm trying to explore as a filmmaker is this idea of superpowers, particularly ones that could be passed off as demonic or evil, and trying to flip that on its head a little bit and explore what it means to accept a power that could possibly haunt you and scare you until you maybe dip your toe into it a little bit. So instead of it actually, like you say, turning you off, what it does is that it actualizes you. ...
And it's funny, I share your sentiment that I wish we could have been talking about this after, the wide release, because I have about 16 questions about this story.
You know what we need to do? Once we're, and that's the thing about this film, is that it's only been 4 months into its festival circuit, and then it won a jury award. Now all of a sudden it's Oscar eligible, and you're just like, whoa, usually you get it like a whole year, and by this time it's had some sort of release, it could be available for people to see, but I look forward to it becoming available sooner than later. But then we should just reconvene.
I think that's something we're definitely going to have to do. Again, for everybody, this film, Catching Spirits with Vanessa Beletic, I can't begin to tell you, again, for someone who's a bit of a scaredy cat, to be walked through this film and still have so many questions about not so much what we see, but what we feel in this film. So can you walk the audience or me through, sorry about that, the writing aspect, kind of what stormed the brain to make you want to pen this and share this story?
Yeah, I am, as a filmmaker, I'm going to make a lot of movies in my life. Toy. Prison films, heist films. I really love institutional films. But when I sat down to write, this is actually the third short that I wrote. The first two were too expensive to make. This one, especially in a pandemic, I was like, okay, this one I can make. But I'm inspired in these 3 shorts that I wrote. I'm clearly inspired by the idea of Black people finding their voice and their power. And so really that's the main motivation in it. I love the idea of that power being grounded in something ancestral, or something that we can point to, rituals that exist in the world, maybe in religion, like I say this even in my director's statement, that, you know, there's dances in Bali where they believe that if they do these dances, they connect to God. And even the people watching the dance are also connecting to God. Clearly in the Southern Baptist Church, people catch the Holy Ghost. In Haiti and in Africa, and well, there's a lot of Catholics in Haiti and a lot of Baptists in Haiti, but for those who practice Vodou, they believe that if they dance, they do connect to different spirits, and they know exactly how to activate that and actualize that. And I've just been fascinated with this idea that dance is an actual thing that people on this planet right now use to connect to the other. And some of them do it in actuality, in a proper practice. Some of them just fall out at the club, you know, they just get lost and they go somewhere. But it's happened to me. I used to be a professional dancer where, you know, if the elements were right, I was gone. I couldn't tell you if a minute had gone by or an hour had gone by. So in terms of writing it, that's what I'm tapping into. I'm tapping into Black people finding their power, having it be a grounded idea of this thing that we can actually look at. You and I could go somewhere right now and see this happen to someone. But I really do look forward to converting this to a feature so I can explore all of the isms that come along with all of that. 12 minutes is really, you know, it's just the tip.
And that's the thing about a short, like I said before, keeping our appetites wet to the point of wanting more. I saw that you had mentioned, if you get the full length, you want to take this from a spooky place to where it needs to be. Where exactly is that?
It's still magical, because we're still making a movie, right? And we want to entertain. But this film is spooky because we're telling the story of someone who's been told what she cannot be, in spite of everything inside her telling her that this is something she must do. And so she's haunted by it. You know, she's spooked by it. She's low-key weird. She's low-key a stalker. So just imagine, without me saying very much, what happens if and when she decides to harness it? What happens? What happens? What does that look like? What does she use it for?
That's what I was thinking. Which I was actually thinking, which way, like we all have natural gifts, right? So which way do you want to use your gift? Do you want to use it for the betterment of self and others, or to others' detriment? And I feel while watching this film, we actually, do you remember those choose your own adventure books? The character can go either way, no matter which way you turn the page. And I feel like that was a great way to end the short, because again, not to give too much away, but
well, you really haven't. I mean, it's like, no matter, I mean, unless you really start describing what you see, but otherwise we're good.
Correct. Yeah, no, and I won't, but it's just so many veering paths you can take this to. And, you know, before you get out of here, I just want to say, you even say yourself, 4 months is a snowballing to get this much, you know, attention. You won the award, you know, you won the jury award at the New Hampshire Film Festival. And first off, did you expect that? And secondarily, you know, I know you want to take it to Oscar consideration, but did you even think that it would get to this point this fast?
Luckily for me, I'm a Pisces and I make art for the art of it. Unluckily for me, I'm a Pisces and I make art for the art of it. In other words, you know, had I been expecting this, I'd already have the feature script complete. You know, I really did it without strategy. It's a film that had to be made, and I work as a commercial and music video director. I enjoy doing those things. I've always wanted to make films, and this was the year that I held my own feet to the fire to make a narrative work, to show the world what I'm capable of, because we know that you have to show and prove. I was hoping to win an award. I did not expect to win an award. And so it's just an honor to have taken it this far. Now that I am Oscar eligible, it's pretty shocking how fast it goes. Especially because even amongst the chosen ones that are all Oscar eligible, there's still so much noise. It's hard to really get the word out about your film. but I also haven't had the benefit of being out for a full year. So as much as there's energy around it, not everybody knows about it. So it's a little tricky, but I'm supposed to say that, yes, I knew it. I knew I was going to win. I'm just grateful.
There you go. I was like, you don't got to be humble if you don't want to be humble. That's completely fine.
No, I'm just grateful. I mean, I'm proud of my work. We just never know how it's going to connect with anyone in any given year. There's so many wonderful short films that are out there, even just to make it into, let's say, one festival. Some festivals get 7,000 submissions. So to be one of 300 to even be there and then to win a jury award is like, the stakes are super high.
Well, you're on the right track based, like I said, on my scaredy cat self enjoying this film. Again, Damien Gracia from Big Gold Belt Media. I actually have one more question.
Yeah.
And while you were talking, it came to me. You mentioned your history with music videos, for instance. I went back and I watched Run the Jewels, and I saw the choreography. Yeah. And when you blend choreography and then you take this film and Catching Spirits and you look at that choreography, was that something innately with you? Like you were saying, since you were 9, you've been wanting to do this kind of stuff or knowing you were going to do this kind of stuff. Did you have the choreography already in your head, or was that something that had to be fleshed out piece by piece?
Well, first I should mention that the choreographer I worked with is Samo Soto, and he worked on both projects.
Okay. I saw familiarities. That's why I figured I'd ask.
Yeah, he's a New York cat. I love him to death. He is a deeply talented b-boy originally, does all the dance styles, something about the way that we communicate that really worked. For Catching Spirits, I knew the arc that had to happen with her. So he choreographed, the sequence of the dance class, like the actual choreography that the dancers do in the class. And then he worked with her more like movement coaching, and some steps that she could do, but then eventually she would just make her own once she was in the moment, because what I was asking her to do, is a really difficult thing for an actor. She's an actor first, dancer second, not the other way around. Okay. Whereas the rest of the community are dancers, and I'm pretty much asking them to play themselves. So we workshopped some movements on her that I divined from knowing where she had to go, where she would start in the story and where she would end in the story. Okay. But of course it was all rehearsed, and and we workshopped it with the rest of the dancers. Dancers are beautiful humans. It's a beautiful community. And I'm always going to be looking to shine a light on communities like that, where people just go to like be comfortable in their own skin and find their own voice. So, yeah.
You knocked it out of the park, I got to admit, and I'm not just blowing smoke. It's one of those things where I was enthralled. I'm looking to see what comes next. I'm sure a lot of us are, and fingers and toes crossed that you get that Academy Award consideration, and the steam engine keeps rolling forward.
Thank you so much.
If someone like me going into this film blind were to watch it for the first time, what are 3 words that you would pick to basically describe this film to you?
If they were watching it going
for
in
the first time,
blind for the first time, 3 words to describe it to me?
Well, from you to us, like let's say
okay, got it. Mystical, coming of age, this is not going to be 3 words.
Well, coming of age was 3 words, but it's fine. That's okay.
Okay, so you see, now I got, okay. It could be coming of age, but that's enough. That's one concept. Mystical is the other concept. So I'm giving you concepts, not words. And the final one is grounded discovery of power. Concepts.
Nope, that's good. Actually, that's a pretty well stated description, because if you go into it with that mindset, that is exactly what a person's gonna pull out of this. Again, Vanessa, thank you so much for joining me today here on Big Gold Belt Media. Best of luck, and fingers and toes crossed.
Come on, light a candle for me. Okay.
I will. Catching Spirits, y'all. Go watch this film.